Another supposed scientific truth that had gone largely unchallenged for several decades in the past was that while most other cells within the human body were capable of reproducing and/or regenerating themselves, the cells of the human brain were unique in that they were completely incapable of regeneration. This belief naturally meant that the brain cells all humans had developed by the age of 2 must by default last them for the remainder of their entire lives, as there was no hope that these could be replaced when lost. Because it was known that there was a continuous loss of neurons, this meant in the minds of scientists that humans were by default condemned to a slow but unavoidable diminishment of their neurons, without any hope of these ever being regenerated. Again, however, this has come under question, and efforts to disprove this previously accepted fact. Studies of just 2 decades ago were among the first to prove that, provided they were placed in the right conditions, neurons were in fact capable of regeneration. This in turn suggested that, given the proper type of stimulation and enhancement, the brain would in fact be able to continuously heal itself and replace lost cells in a way that is not dissimilar to that in which our skin is able to heal after we have been cut. The new discoveries in science have proven that the brain has abilities, which have been misunderstood for years. The brain enhancement ability and discoveries in science. Discoveries made by scientists in the fields of the brain's ability to operate. A variety of studies have been conducted that have given scientists further insight into the operation of our brains. By applying a variety of technologies that will enable them to reach a better understanding of these synchronizations, they are then better able to determine the specific functions of the individual brain being studied. Once the human is aware of the specific functions and state of his or her brain, it is actually possible, using a variety of stimuli and techniques discovered and developed over the past few decades, to use the brain itself to control, alter and/or promote these various states. Brain synchronization and the way it relates to the process of brain enhancement. The revelations of studies related to brain lateralization, that the right and left hemispheres of our cortex operate in differing modes and rhythms, led scientists to conclude that humans generally emphasize half their brains at a time, dominance flickering back and forth between hemispheres depending on the task at hand. Nevertheless, studies by neurologists have now proved that in certain extraordinary mental states, one of the longest proven strategies is through deep mediation. Another method used is through intensifying creativity. The two seem to shift the mind's hemisphere into a sole operation that works in union alongside coherent rhythm. Scientists call this state of whole brain thinking synchrony, and it has recently become clear that specific devices promoting brain stimulations can rapidly boost the brain to a higher level of functioning. The electrochemical brain and the manner in which it relates to the process of brain enhancement. Scientists assert that every imaginable mental state is the result of a specific pattern of electrical and chemical activity in the brain. This brain activity, they have discovered, can be altered and shaped by external stimuli, including sounds, lights, electromagnetic fields, and physical movements. Mechanical devices that can direct these stimuli to appropriate areas in the brain can reliably trigger specific brain states. It is now possible, using these devices, for a person to guide him or her into such brain states as euphoria, reverie, and recall experiences from the distant past, stimulation of memories, deep concentration, sexual exhilaration, and heightened creativity. Brain self-regulation, and how it may be used to promote brain enhancement. Scientists long assumed that most aspects of brain operation, including the rhythms of the brain's electrical activity and the secretion within the brain's chemicals, were, like much of the human nervous system, beyond conscious control. Then in the 1960s, certain discoveries in the field of biofeedback proved that humans could in fact learn to take conscious control of any physical system of which it is possible to make them aware. Using biofeedback, it is possible for humans quickly to learn to alter such supposedly involuntary systems as their blood pressure, heart rate, even the secretion of hormones. In addition to this, technological advances of the past couple decades have also made it possible for certain extraordinarily sensitive types of machinery to monitor and deliver back information on the functions of what are essentially mental states. By sensing the brain's electrical activity and simultaneously feeding back to us that activity in easily understandable images, these machines enable users to observe their brain states and then take the necessary steps to change them. In effect, humans can learn to alter and control their own thoughts, emotions, moods, and even mental states at will. Super learning and the brain. The theory behind the promotion of brain enhancement studies over the course of the past 2 decades have indicated to researchers that the human brain is capable of far greater feats of learning, remembering and creating than were ever previously thought possible or even imagined. Under the proper conditions, normal human beings can absorb, store, process and recall vast amounts of information at will. The debate surrounding the use of machinery as it applies to brain enhancement is something to explore. Next, we can see how exercise combined with music can also enhance the brain. Exercise and brain enhancement. The idea of exercise as something necessary for brain enhancement. The idea of bodybuilding and strength training as an analogy for brain enhancement. Strenuous physical exercise causes the bodies of healthy people to get even stronger. The exercise can be focused on very specific parts of the body. For example, a weightlifter who does bicep curls but nothing else will develop large biceps but very little else. Marathon runners focus on strengthening their cardiovascular systems, and as a result they often have extraordinary endurance, powerful hearts and lungs, and the torsos of 98-pound weaklings with arms and legs like rubber bands. However, bodybuilding certainly works, and it works the same way in every instance, from weightlifters to distance runners. Choose that part of your body that you want most to grow in size and strength, and then use it. Moreover, most importantly, use it against increasingly difficult challenges, since it is that steady increase in difficulty, whether it comes through lifting heavier weights or running longer or faster, that stimulates the targeted muscle to grow. How does this analogy relate to the field of brain enhancement? Simply imagine that all of this is true of the brain as well as of the body. Substituting brain for body, the above paragraph states, in effect, that strenuous intellectual exercise causes the brains of healthy people to get stronger. This brain-building exercise can be focused on a very specific part of the brain. Simply select the part or quality of the brain that you want to grow in size and strength, and then use it against increasingly difficult challenges. Imagine further now that just as we have devices to stimulate the body to healthy growth and to speed up the slow process of body growth, barbells, treadmills, bikes and everything else, we also have devices to stimulate brain growth and speed the process of brain building enormously. How do previous theories on brain enhancement and growth fit in with modern theories? How do they differ? Long ago scientists established that absolute brain size has little to do with intelligence. When they weighted brains during autopsies, they found that the brains of supposed idiots were sometimes larger than those of great intellects, and that geniuses at times had comparatively small brains. Moreover, if brain size seemed irrelevant to intelligence, the idea that either brain size or intelligence could be changed by experiences seemed absurd. First, it was an accepted fact that intelligence was genetically determined. People with high intelligence are born that way. Finally, it was commonly accepted that the growth in the total number of brain cells we have it completed by age 2. In other words, the absolute number of one's brain cells was supposedly determined from infancy, and no matter what experiences or stimulations the brain may have received, the number of brain cells could not increase. In this, the neurons are unlike the other cells of the body, which can reproduce many times. After all, if a muscle cell is destroyed it can be replaced by a new cell. Oh, so is this where that bodybuilding analogy comes in? Is this how it relates to the process of brain enhancement by exercise? It is this capability that is exploited by bodybuilders, whose large muscles are the result of the repair and regeneration of muscle cells damaged or destroyed by strenuous exercise. No wonder scientists found it hard to conceive of any way brain structure and function could be changed by sensory input. No wonder people find it hard to believe in brain machines that can be used like bodybuilding devices, stimulating the brain and triggering brain growth and increases in mental powers. Brain enhancement. Natural evolutionary changes are directed toward the creation of the brain.